Hi. My talk today is on Octopus Cloud, a deployment tool used in the development community to make deployments a bit smoother, and I'm going to start now. My name is Imran, and I work for the Cogworks. I've been put in charge of guarding our infrastructure over the last few months to make sure nothing happens to it. This talk will briefly touch upon the benefits of Octopus Cloud and some of the deployments problems that it has helped to fix. This is going to be quite a short talk, so I won't keep you guys too long. I'm going to give an overhead view of it and not get too technical or into too much detail with it. These are the questions to consider during the talk. Who should be interested in deployments? What are the deployment methods? Why CI is important? Where Octopus Deploy steps in? And when Octopus Cloud helps? Okay, who should be interested in deployments? Deploying is a vital part of the development process, whether it's for getting your work up on live or just on other environments. It's in everyone's best interest that deployments go as smooth as possible. Common deployment methods used. Web deploy is a popular one. Some people FTP it, and I hope not many people in the room manually copy and paste on the live server to get their code across. Cool. So why should people be interested in deployments in the first place? We try to make deployments as fast and reusable as possible, so you don't have to spend a whole day doing it, so you don't have to worry about human error of someone manually going in and copying it and someone forgetting the steps or missing a line in the instructions. So we try to make things as repeatable and fast as possible. Web deploy is one method used by many people to deploy. It's built into a lot of tools like Visual Studio Publish uses it, and it's straightforward. You can run web deploys from command line if you write the code enough. It's fast, it's secure, and you can even apply config transforms using it. However, it's not very user-friendly, it's very codey to use, and you have no logging or history of any of the deploys you use. You literally just do your deploy, and then hope everything goes okay, and then you have no record of it afterwards. Of all these different approaches, most people tend to go for a one-size-fits-all approach that isn't always suited for efficiency or cost. They tend to just go with what they're comfortable with, and most people, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they don't really try to expand and look at other methods of deployment. Most deployment processes go through stumbling blocks, but of course, stumbling is not falling. Continuous integration and delivery. Why is CI important? Continuous integration is a development practice where a team can continuously integrate small code changes into the code base, build and run the test, and automatically ensure all is good. It's trying to get you into the habit of not waiting for big releases to push to your code, but instead incrementally use small batches that you can just push into the code and automatically test all is good. Continuous delivery takes place after the CI part, where you aim to try get these releases out to different environments as quick as possible, hopefully with just the click of a button so you can get them tested instantly. Again, it's all about getting into the habit of small batch releases, minimizing the risk when doing it. Benefits of CI and CD. Like I said earlier, we try to aim to be repeatable, automated, less risk, and have a more pragmatic workflow. So, as I said, human error always comes into when you're doing anything manually, and there's always issues if someone misses a step or anything like that. So we try to get automated and repeatable. Sometimes you don't want to spend a whole day doing one deploy, so you want to be able to do it. If there's a mistake or a problem, you can just reset the deploy and do it again. Some drawbacks to this approach. There's a lot of time investment at the start of this. A lot of clients don't really care how the deployment happens as long as it happens. So you kind of have to make a fight to get this built at the beginning and maybe spend a bit more money to make sure all future deploys go a bit easier and take less time. It's also more environments to maintain if you use a separate build server or have any other tools on different servers that you need to maintain and manage. Build servers. Build servers are tools and software that can be used to help CI practices. They're isolated instances that can allow different builds to be configured and automated. Examples are AppVeyor, Jenkins, and TeamCity. What they can do. They specifically handle all your build processes, which means that you can just automate every part of what you're doing in the build over on this build server. It's separate to the other work you're doing on a separate environment, usually on a different server where you can just build it, run it, and let that take care of it. It also can, most times will visually represent your build steps so you have a better view of what's going on at all times instead of clicking and hoping that nothing gets destroyed. You also have a store history of all the logs and builds that happened, so you can go back over the weeks and see which builds were successful and try troubleshoot which ones weren't. Here's an example of a build server. This is Team City with a project running on it. There's 4 different environments for dev, staging, and Azure staging and production. As you can see, the test mark is next to them to see how many tests passed, and to run it, you can just click the run button and it will instantly run and hit them environments. Here's an example of some build steps on a build environment. So it will do all the build that you would normally do before a deploy with transforms. You can build your CSS and scripts, build the package, run the unit test, and then at the end, this is an example using web deploy, where it will just deploy to your intended environment. What they shouldn't be doing: deployment. You should ideally try to have as separated concerns as possible and not have your deployments being done by the build. The build server should only specifically focus on the building, and if you can, have a separate tool worrying about the deployment. The same goes for the version tracking and media if you want to separate those concerns as well. Octopus deploy. Oh god, I didn't know it was this long. Octopus deploy is a powerful tool that helps to manage simple and complex application deployments to multiple environments on servers or the cloud. It has a helpful user interface that makes it easier to keep track of all the releases. One of the main benefits of using a tool like Octopus deploy is the visual representation of everything you're doing. It gets hard in deployments to keep track of all the moving parts of it, and for something like this that has a good user interface, it helps keep that a bit clear. So it's got the user interface, good representation of deploys. You can version number all your releases so you can keep track of which releases are going where. And you can deploy to cloud, virtual machines, servers, and many other environments just from there at the click of a button. Here's an example of an Octopus deploy instance. So this is installed on a server, and then you can just create your build steps to do it. So in your build server, it will build the package, send it to Octopus deploy, and then from here we'll start going through all the steps of pushing it to the server, setting the permissions on Umbraco if it's an Umbraco website, and then creating all the directories you need. You can customize all your build steps you want for whatever type of application you use. Octopus deploy can be used on .NET, Java, and most other frameworks. Here's an example of some templates you can use for your steps in order to get them pushing. So it can be used with Docker. There's some Docker examples. Deploying to Azure Web App, they have a template for that, and then there's just a random script in there that you can add your own PowerShell or C# if you prefer. Here's a visual representation of a successful deploy, so you can see there's the different environments that have been deployed to, and then you get the loading sign when they're loading, and then the green tick when it's successfully deployed. As you can see on the client staging onwards, they have the version numbers on it. We have the zeros for dev and staging because they get pushed to so much, there's no point having release numbers on them. And then on live, you can see that this one's using 2.2 version. So ideally, you could have 2.2 on live and then visually represent on client staging or pre-production, it's on 2.1 or 2.3, and then you can differentiate between all your different releases. Also, you can go into the individual projects and check the release packages and go inside and look at all the files on them and have a clearer look of what's happening. This makes it easier for troubleshooting if something goes wrong and to make sure you know exactly what's being pushed to what environment at all times. Okay, saving time and money. Why this saves time and money is because you can test on different environments quicker, you can find bugs quicker, it reduces the chance of blocking out entire days to a single deploy, and reduces the risk of human error. All the things that we're aiming to achieve with this. Where Octopus Cloud can help. Octopus Cloud is the same as Octopus Deploy, but they host it for you on their own server. So this means that you don't need your own server or storage or maintenance. And as a tech team, you should be trying to get rid of all dependencies and maintenance that you yourself have to do. So if they can host it for you, it's always better to move on to that. They have support provided, it's quick and easy to spin up, there's unlimited projects, and you can pay a monthly fee that's quite cheap instead of just one big sum of a couple of grand to get a license. Things to consider about cloud. Security. If you're not hosting it on your own environment and somewhere else, there's always a concern about security and what information is being held there, so that's something to consider. Regions is important as well, because Octopus Cloud currently only has the Oregon region when they're adding more to it, so I don't know how that works with GDPR and Brexit. IP addresses, it has sticky IP addresses which are prone to change, not too often, but Azure will normally let you know, so if there's any problems with that, they should let you know. But if you're whitelisting IP addresses for clients, then that's something to consider. And strangely, they don't guarantee any uptime whatsoever because they're still in their early stages, but it hasn't gone down for us yet. Deployment processes should always be changing and improving as the times and technology do. To conclude, when you start off with your deployment methodology, most people have different individual manual deploys. After that, at some point, people go towards a more automated deploy method where you have everything at the drop of a button so you don't have to worry about too much error. After that, you could look into continuous integration, continuous delivery workflows to help you get into a better mindset of doing these kind of deploys. Afterwards, look for a separate build server that have your concerns only with building, and then even separate the deploy part from that as well if you can use a tool like Octopus to Cloud. And finally, if you can, in all places, you should try and move away from any self-hosting that you need to manage or maintain, and if someone else can do it, you should try that as well. And yeah, I said it would be short, so thank you for coming to my talk. If there's any questions, I'll be around after hiding from everyone, so thank you for the talk.